lifetime in Mesopotamia. I had been a high priestess who had initiated young men into sexuality just before they got married, and that these young men had come back to just bring me joy in this lifetime.
Oh, to repay that.
To repay that. And I mean, it seemed to be a fact, but I have no idea.
I love that.
So there were three just absolutely wonderful young men. One made his own motorcycles, and he was a motorcycle racer, and he gave me a motorcycle, and I drove one when I was I had Honda 500, I think it was, when I was in my 50s.
Wow.
And
that's a collectible.
Yeah, I guess so.
You still have it somewhere in the back?
No. I can't even remember what I did with it. And also with him, I faced a lot of my fears. He used to jump out of airplanes and with parachutes, and so I jumped out of airplanes.
With parachutes?
With parachutes.
Wow.
And we had an extraordinary time together.
Wow.
And then in 1985, my father died, and he left me. I had absolutely nothing. No car, no money, no nothing. Because in 1980, I had gone to India to study the whole yogic tradition. And when I came back, my father passed away, left me money, left me a car, and this wonderful property in Sutton.
Where you are right now.
Yes. But just quickly going back a little bit, this partner, this lover that I had, decided to join me in India and surprise me. So he found out through the embassy where I was, knocked on the door of the hotel, and said, let's go traveling. So after my training, we went into Nepal. We went hiking way up into the wilderness, just an extraordinary. Then we went to Kathmandu.
Wow.
And
this was in what years of your life?
Oh, my God, I can't remember. It was...
In your 50s?
Early.
Okay,
yeah,
early
or
50s.
middle,
Yeah,
kind of middle 50s.
Wow, that's fascinating.
And it was life-changing kind of adventures. And then I did come back from that and didn't know what to do with myself when I went to Sutton. But I had a very... Before I met this young man, I had gone into a deep depression and had very, very dark times and had gone to see a psychiatrist whose name was Robert Shepherd, and was in therapy for about 3 or 4 years. And then Robert went to Scotland. What is the name of that place in Scotland? It's a big healing center. It was very, very important.
Popular then.
Popular then. Anyway, he went there, and then when he came back, he said, Joan, I want you and I to start a community. So we began the community called the Reuter Valley Center, and we, in the beginning, worked with the schizophrenic people.
Okay.
And then I got very mixed up, if you will, in what I would call a cult. I don't think the leader would call it that, but it was called Windsong. But something that happened through her, Jane, was a wonderful adventure. She said to me, you need solutions. You can't allow a question to be asked or an experience to happen without closure, without solutions. So she said, I want you to go and live for 2 years with the Cree Indians in the north. And she said, because part of their heritage is not looking for the solution, but allowing it to be what it is. So I did that. I went up to Mastosany and lived with the Crees, learned, I cannot tell you how much I learned up there. It was marvelous, marvelous.
Incredible.
And then when I came back, I didn't know what to do with myself. And I became a waitress for about 6 months, and I was the most miserable failure. You have no idea, because I loved people, and I was so curious. And I would go over to a table when a husband and wife weren't talking, and instead of waiting on them, I'd say, "So, what do you do?" Anyway, I didn't last. But one thing that I so enjoyed and learned so much from was that I did work in the Cowansville Penitentiary. And the beauty of the people who were in there, and they were incarcerated, and they'd done all kinds of things, but sitting with them, they would open up, just like my kindergarten children had, and they would tell stories of their life, and we started doing yoga, and it was an extraordinary experience. And I remember that one of the prisoners, he was about 6'3", 4 maybe. He was a black man, and he had a partner who was an extraordinarily gorgeous blonde woman with high heels, etc. And they came to my yoga class one day, and I looked up and I thought, "Oh my, what have we here?" So he was there because he said he flattened people. Oh. And I gather he had flattened somebody one too many times. Anyway, he was the rock of the yoga. Wow. He would sit in meditation. And she was a he. Oh. So, and she sat right in front of me, he, whatever, and just glared at me as if I'm every inch as good a woman as you are, lady. And they became just wonderful people through that class.
And this was the home that you have now in Sutton?
Yes, this was from my home in Sutton.
I just want to take an opportunity here to tell our listeners once again that they're listening to CIDI 99.1, your community radio station here in Knowlton, Lac Brome. And your host is Ilya Kavukis with my guest, Joan Mathews. Joan, I'm just fascinated by your story. It's absolutely wonderful. It seems to me that this interview is going towards yoga and how it's helped you.
Yes.
And even though we've done another show on yoga, I'm not concerned. We'll do another one. We'll do plenty of them. Yoga is such a fascinating and in-depth topic. And with everybody who comes on the show, I'm sure it'll be a different take on it. So what would you say to our listeners? Because this show, I'd like it to be geared towards how people can use the alternative modalities in medicine to help themselves heal. What would you say to this audience?
Well, for me, yoga's great strength and its great gift, if we will, is something that I so appreciate on all levels of our life, which is the union, the coming together, which is what the word yoga means, of the body and the mind and the spirit. Because most of us are very much into one of those aspects and possibly not including all three of them. So I know many people who are totally into the spiritual, but we live in a body. We took an incarnation and we're here. So the body is extremely important. And then some of us are into the intellect, the mind, the